In this free Hostgator and WordPress tutorial, I'm going to show you how to install WordPress on Hostgator. Hostgator is a good option for starting a WordPress website, but there are a few things that you may be unsure of and probably some things that you won't need. So in this tutorial, I'll explain everything to you as we go along and help you figure out what is what and figure out what you need. I'm Tim from realwebsitehints.com, and I've made it my mission to help people just like you find the best and easiest ways of building websites and avoiding as much frustration and confusion in the process. To make sure that we're on the same page, scroll down below this video and you'll find a link to Hostgator. I'll also include a promo code for you to use. This link and this promo code will give you a discount, and it provides me with a small commission that helps me to provide free tutorials like this one on YouTube and on my website. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Okay, so let's look at how to install WordPress on Hostgator. Now, we've got a few different options for installing WordPress on Hostgator. If you're trying to keep your costs absolutely low, or as low as possible, you can use their standard web hosting here, which is the $3.95 a month introductory price, and then after the introductory period, it jumps up to the normal price. But in looking at it, what I actually would recommend doing is going with their WordPress hosting if you're going to be making a WordPress website. And the reason why is because it comes with a couple of features and benefits. First of all, it's designed specifically for WordPress. They're telling us here that they've actually got an increased speed. It includes a content delivery network, which will make your website run faster, which is really good and really important, and it's going to save you some time in having to figure out how to do that yourself. They've got a simplified control panel, which is going to help you, not be distracted and confused by the standard control panel, which is designed to be used with multiple different kinds of website building tools or web tools, which can get really confusing really fast. It's something I don't like about a lot of other hosting companies that don't offer that clean panel, is that it can be a little bit confusing, especially when you're first starting out. If you already have a site and you want to move it, they've got some help here for moving your site, and it includes some great things. So they've got this code guard here, which gives you daily automated backups with 1 GB of storage, backs up your database, sort of basically backs up your website. Daily malware scans is included with this, and this price for this is only $2 more than the standard hosting that they offer. And so you get daily malware scans. They're going to automatically block bot attacks from your website and look for vulnerability scans. And then you've got the option to buy a HTTPS or an SSL certificate later on, which is good. And also the option to buy domain privacy later on. And then you also get an unlimited number of email addresses with their standard email hosting feature, which is really nice because a lot of the other companies that offer WordPress-specific hosting like this don't offer unlimited email plans, if they even have an email plan at all. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to show you exactly how to sign up for Hostgator, and then I'm going to show you how to make sure that your WordPress website is configured properly. This is really easy to do, but it's something you want to make sure you do it right in the first place, because sometimes it can be kind of hard to go back, or it can be kind of messy to go back and fix some of the things later. So I want to make sure we do it right the first time. So let's go ahead and get started. So we just get started by clicking on Buy Now. I'm going to go ahead and register a domain just to show you guys how to do that. If you already own a domain, you can click on this tab here and we can just link that domain here. Let's go ahead and create a new domain. So I'm going to search for this site here and see if it's available. I happen to know it's not available because I've already purchased it, but they're going to give me some other options here which I can use. So I'm going to go with the realtestsite.site. And then if I wanted to buy additional versions of that, like .club, I can do that, but I'm not going to do that here. And domain privacy protection, it's $1 a month, and it's something I'm going to do it for myself for sure, and it's something I definitely recommend that you do. What it basically does is it anonymizes your registration for your domain, because normally who registers the domain is a public record, so it would have your name, your billing address, your phone number, and your email address. And the problem with that is it's not that I mind that people know who actually owns the domain. The problem is that it gets out there to all these people who are spammers, who send you junk mail, who call your phone with bot phone calls, and it's just really annoying. So for me, $12.95 a year is well worth it to not have to have all of that junk mail and spam phone calls and emails. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that on here. And then as far as the pricing goes, you do get the best price by signing up for 36 months of service. Since I'm just doing this as a test to show you guys how this works, I'm going to go ahead and just do 1 year. So I'm not going to get quite as good of a deal as if you do it for 3 years. So we need to have a pin here for when we need help signing for our customer support. So I'm just going to put that in. And then just go ahead and enter in your billing information and your credit card information. Okay, and then after we've added in our credit card information, we've got some options here. So we've got the site lock monitoring for free and the site backup for free. And then for the SSL certificate, it's definitely something you need if you're planning on selling online or if you're planning on collecting a lot of information from your viewers. You definitely want to check that. For this, I'm not going to turn it on, but it is something that you will want to do if you're planning on selling online or asking your viewers for a lot of information. And Google has said that the Chrome browser will gradually start giving people more and more warnings if you don't have an SSL certificate for your website. So it's well worth starting out your site right and getting one now. I think it's worth the $20 a year to have it. And then the coupon code that I provided, you can just enter in right here. Okay, and then it's going to give you sort of a breakdown of everything you've selected, and then the discount that you got, and then it's going to give you the amount due, and then agree to the terms, and then check out. And now it's just setting up your Hostgator accounts. Just give it a few moments to do that. Okay, so then after signing up for Hostgator, you may get an email like this, which says verifications required. And all you got to do is just call the phone number and just want to make sure that you're a real person and that you're not some sort of bot or hacker trying to sign up for web hosting with them. So you may or may not receive this email. I did, so I just had to call them. And then they'll tell you that within 5 minutes, you can start signing up for your web hosting. And to log back into your Hostgator account, you'll receive an email like this from billing@hostgator.com. It's going to have your login, which is going to be the email you signed up with, and then they're going to give you a password right here. So you just need to enter that in, that you log in. So to log back in, you go to hostgator.com, and then you click on Customer Portal here, and then you enter in that information, so the email address you signed up with, and then the password that they provided for you. And definitely a good idea to use a password management system. I personally use LastPass for my password management. But there's lots of other companies. There's 1Password and several others. But again, as you know, when you're building websites, there's lots of different accounts that you need to have. And so you want to make sure that you can remember those passwords and you have unique passwords for every account that you set up. Okay, and since we got the WordPress hosting from Hostgator, what we need to do to log into our website, so we need to go over here to Hosting, and then we just click on our website here. So this is the website that I registered for. Just click on it, and it's going to log us into the back end of WordPress. And the other way to log into the back end of WordPress is you can go to your domain name and then /wp-admin and add in a username and password. So if you go to Users here, All Users, and so to create a new user, you go to Add New. You will need to use a separate email address to create a new user. You can change this later on if you delete that first user, but you need to use a different email address because you need to have a unique email address for each user. And then you get a choice here whether you want to send the user a notification, so if this is somebody you're working with, you can send them a notification and it'll give them the information about how to log in. But in this case, I'm just going to do it for myself, and I want to make this user an administrator. I'm going to copy the password here and save it to my LastPass vault. I'm going to click on Add New User. Okay, so now we've got 2 users that we can use to log in. We've got the admin user, and then we've got this new admin user that we created, and so you can use either one. So now you can log in either using the Hostgator method by clicking on your website here, and then it'll automatically log you in, or you can go to your website name /wp-admin and add in that new username admin that you created. So it's optional. You don't have to do it. I'm just used to logging into WordPress the normal way by going to /wp-admin, so I'd like to have that in there. So now let's go ahead and let's look at some of the things that we might want to add or we might want to change on this install of WordPress. So first up here is Jetpack. Now Jetpack is offered by Automatic, which is the company sort of behind the WordPress open source platform. And it's something that I'm sort of new to using, but after having started using it, I've got a more advanced version of it, but after having used it for a while, I definitely recommend signing up for it. It's really easy. You just click on connect to WordPress.com. If you don't already have a WordPress.com account, you can create one. And the free version gives you some great benefits, like really easy to read site statistics, as well as a content delivery network for your images, so it helps your images basically load faster when you add them to your website. So those are both great benefits, and those are both free. When you step up to the more to the paid plans, some of the features include things like backup for your website, which is definitely recommended. So it's an offsite backup, so it's the backup's hosted someplace else other than your Hostgator hosting. And so that can be a great benefit, and there's some other great benefits. So you might want to check that out, but definitely the free version, at this point in time, I am definitely recommending signing up for that. Next thing we want to look at are the posts. Usually there's a default post in a new WordPress install, and we don't want a hello world post that we didn't write and really doesn't say anything, and it's also kind of a magnet for spam, so we definitely want to get rid of that. So let's go ahead and trash that. And then we're going to do the same thing with pages. Usually there's a default page here, sort of the same kind of situation. It's not a page we created. It's not anything we care about, so let's just trash it and keep our WordPress install as clean as possible for when we're starting out. And then themes. Themes are how you get the look of your website, and they've got some default ones installed by WordPress, and right now they're saying they need updates, which we can do in a minute here. But these default themes are good to keep in here. They're mostly used for troubleshooting any problems that you might have with your website. So they're good to keep in there. But if you find that there's more than 3 of these basic themes in there, you probably just want to get rid of them if you're not using them. And if you're looking for a great recommendation on a theme, I've got a couple themes that I really like. Right now, my favorite theme is the Divi theme, and I'll put a review to the Divi theme here and at the end of this video, as well as in the description below. What I like about Divi is that they're really striving to make the best theme that they can right now, and they've done an amazing job of making it really easy to build pages, and it has just this amazing, diverse community behind it who are super helpful, and I think it's a great way to easily make a WordPress website, and you're not really locked into any one design like you are with so many other themes that are out there, where really it's up to the theme creators at what the design of your website is going to be, whereas Divi really gives you the power to design your own theme. So definitely recommend checking that out if you're looking for a WordPress theme. Okay, so let's go over here to plugins. And then on plugins, there's a couple things we might want to keep, a couple things we might want to delete. This Akismet plugin is great for managing your spam comments, and it's something that I noticed right when I built my first website, that within a matter of a few months I was getting a bunch of spam comments, and that was kind of annoying, shall we say. And so in order to clean that up and keep your website clean and keep just comments that really are inappropriate for your website off of there, I definitely recommend signing up for that. And that's one of the things that comes with the Jetpack premium features, is the ability to sort of filter out those spam comments. You can also sign up for Akismet individually by just clicking here to sign up for a plan, and you do need that in order to get the API key to sort of get the filtering going. And it's not something you would need, I would say, in the first couple weeks of having your website, but definitely in the first couple months. If you start noticing a lot of comments that are just obviously spam comments, you're going to want to enable that and pay for it. I think it's definitely worth the time just to not waste your time dealing with spam comments and not have comments showing up on the posts and pages that you create that have nothing to do with the site that you've created. This Google Analytics dashboard, it's not something I'm familiar with. It's something that's, I would say, go ahead and leave this on here. Play with it, check it out, see if it's something interesting to you. The Jetpack plugin, definitely recommend connecting it with WordPress.com account. It's free to get started with, and I definitely think that the paid tiers of that are worthwhile, at least worth checking out. See if it's something that would be useful to you. The Mojo Marketplace is a marketplace specific to a few different hosting companies. It's where you can buy themes and plugins. It's not something I personally use. I've got sort of my own recommendations for themes and plugins, so I would delete it, and I'm going to delete it from this website because it's not something that I use. Go ahead. So to delete something, you just click on deactivate. This has already been deactivated, so you don't have to worry about that, but the Mojo Marketplace was active, so I click deactivate, and then you can click delete to delete it. And definitely things that you're not using on your website, you don't want to have a bunch of extra plugins or extra themes sitting there, because first of all, they need to get updated, because there's always a potential security risk with anything that you're not using on your website or anything that's not updated. So you want to have just your website as clean as possible and just get rid of anything that you don't need. And plus, there can be conflicts between different plugins and different themes, and so just sort of limiting down the plugins and themes that you have to just what you need is really important to just sort of your own sanity and to make sure that your site keeps running as good as it can. This Varnish HTTP purge is it's a tool that's used to clear the cache from the server, I believe. So definitely would leave that on here. You can purge the Varnish up here, which is sort of purging the cache on the server. So if you're having something's not working right, or something's not updating on your website the way you think it could be, that's one thing you can do is push this button here, give it a few minutes, and then see if that is allowing the update to happen on your website. And this WCP Super Cache plugin is definitely something I would leave on there. It's a caching plugin that is going to help your pages load faster. It's definitely something you're going to want to keep. And we looked at users already, and let's go to settings. There's some settings here that we want to sort of take care of and make sure that they're set up right. So first thing is the site title. Obviously, you don't want it to be called My Hostgator Blog. That's not what your website's about. So you want to give this like the name of your company or the name of your blog, something really short that describes your business. So it might be, again, the name of your business or the name of your blog. And then here the tagline is, in a few more words, what is your website about? And WordPress address URL. On some installations, you can adjust this and manage this. It's not something I recommend really that you do because it can break your site. So you don't really want to touch this or mess this, and it looks like they've graded out for you on the Hostgator install, so you can't do that anyways. Your email address, again, you want to make sure this is an email address you have current access to, because this is going to give you important messages about the status of your site, if there's new users that signed on, those kind of things. So you can change this to your own domain name once you get your website up and running, and you might just want to keep it as a separate email address. That way, in case you have any problems with your domain or your website, that it's a separate address that you always have access to. Default role, subscriber, you want to leave that alone. And then the time zone, definitely recommend setting this to the time zone that you want to set it to. Whoops. You've got the choice here of doing it by UTC offsets, or you can just scroll up and then find the city that relates to the time zone that you're in, and you can do that by scrolling up here till you find America, assuming that you're in America or whichever region that you're in, and then just scroll down and find a city that's in the same time zone as you are. Right now, I am on the Eastern time zone, so I'm going to find New York because I know that that's on here. There we go. And then the time format and the date format that you're used to, and what day the week starts on for you. And that's going to affect any calendars that you use with your website. And then, really important, whenever you change settings in WordPress, always want to make sure you go down to the bottom and click Save Changes. So there we go. We got that taken care of. The next thing is under reading. Under reading, this is usually not checked, but I have seen some installs where it has this checked by default. And this is the discourage search engines from indexing the site. So basically, if you want to try to keep your site a little bit private, I mean, there's nothing really private on the internet, but a little bit private, or you're not ready to have the information found by search engines yet, you can click this box and it'll ask search engines not to browse and crawl your website to look for information. It's really up to search engines whether they're going to do that or not. But really super important is most of us probably want our websites to get found. You want to make sure that this checkbox is unchecked. And then the next really important thing is this permalinks setting here. And by default, it's set to this kind of weird link that you would have to all of your posts or pages. So it would be like the date, and then the name of the post. But really the best thing for search engine optimization and just your own sanity and a way to easily communicate the links to posts and pages that you have is to use this post name. And I don't know why WordPress doesn't have this as the default setting, but for some reason they don't. But you definitely, for search engine optimization, your own sanity, and the ability to communicate where your posts are easily, change this to post name here, and then click Save Changes at the bottom. Okay, so those are the basic setups that I like to set up, and the next thing I want to do is just make sure everything is up to date before we start building our website. So to do that, you can click on Dashboard up here, and then click on Updates, and then let's update to the latest version of WordPress, so click on Update Now. And this may or may not happen depending on when you install WordPress on your website. I imagine that this update to WordPress is fairly recent, so HostGator probably just hasn't had a chance to change their automatic install to include this version of WordPress. But if you don't have that request to update your version of WordPress, you don't have to worry about it. And definitely, before you update your version of WordPress or update pretty much anything on your website, you want to make sure that you have a good backup copy of your website, because it happens that an update will break your website or break some of the functionality in your website. It's really nice to be able to just go back quickly and bring your website back up from a previous version. Okay, and then let's go back to the dashboard here, and we'll go back to updates. And this is a great feature that I like, is that you can just automatically update everything. So just make sure you want to actually update everything, and all of these things are new to us. So let's go ahead and just select all and then click Update Plugins. It's going to go ahead and update and activate all the plugins that were activated. There we go. So that takes care of that. And now our WordPress website is set up and it's ready for us to start building. And so the first thing to do to start building your website is to install a theme. My recommendation right now is the Divi theme. I've got a couple of other recommendations though. So I'll link to a playlist that I've got of my recommended themes. And if you just want to get started building your website as easily as possible, I've got a free tutorial series that will show you exactly how to configure a theme and get it set up and installed on your website and then start building your website. And in this particular example, it's the Divi theme. Definitely one of my favorite themes for easily building websites with WordPress. So definitely want to check that out. If you have any questions about this, leave them in the comments below. It's my goal to help you guys make your websites get up and running as easily as possible. So I definitely want to know if you have any questions. It helps me make better videos in the future, and hopefully I can answer your questions, whatever they might be. And for more tips, tricks, and tutorials on how to build websites easily, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and visit me at realwebsitehints.com. Thanks for watching.